Hello and welcome. I want to begin with a question that may touch on a very sensitive and real place in your life. Have you ever felt like you're in a place where injustice has taken hold, but you feel powerless to do anything about it? Have you ever witnessed something wrong, something that offended your principles, but the voice of fear silenced you? Have you ever felt like you had something to say, but the weight of someone else's authority or power made you back down? The truth is, at some point in our lives, we will all face situations of injustice and confrontation. And in those moments, the attempt to remain silent is overwhelming. It's safer, it's easier, it's more comfortable. The fear of standing up, of speaking out, of exposing ourselves, of facing consequences is a giant that silences us. It makes us believe that our voice doesn't matter, that we are too small to make a difference, that the situation is too big for us to change. But what if I told you there is a story, a narrative, that despite millennia still resonates with overwhelming power to guide us in the struggle? What if this story were not about a military leader or a powerful prophet, but about a young woman, a queen, who found herself at a crossroads in her life, faced with the choice of remaining silent or using her voice to save an entire people? Today we're going to delve into the story of Esther, but not in the way you've heard. I want us to see this story as an instruction manual and spiritual map for navigating the battles of injustice. Esther's journey is proof that God places us in strategic places, not by chance, but so that we can be instruments of His justice, so that we can make a difference at the right time. It's proof that your voice, however small it may seem, has the power to move mountains. The story begins in majestic Persia, under the reign of a powerful king, King Xerxes. It was a vast empire with 127 provinces. There was a young orphaned Jewish girl named Hadassah, meaning myrtle, who was raised by her cousin Mordecai. When King Xerxes, in a moment of fury, deposed his queen Vashti, he began a search for a new queen, and Hadassah, with her incomparable beauty, was brought to the palace. She became Queen Esther, meaning star. But on her cousin's advice, she kept her Jewish identity a secret. She was the queen, the most powerful woman in the empire. But identity was also a woman with a hidden agenda. She had power, but no voice for who she truly was. And here lies the crux of the story. Amidst all this pomp, the villain, Haman, appears. He was a man full of pride, of arrogance, and was elevated by the king to a position of immense power. And Haman hated Mordecai. He hated him because Mordecai, in his faith and integrity, refused to bow to him. Haman's hatred became so great that he sought revenge not only on Mordecai. He devised a diabolical plan to exterminate all of Mordecai's people, all the Jews living in every province of the empire. And he convinced King Xerxes to issue a decree bearing the king's seal, a seal that could not be revoked. It was the mass extermination of an entire people. And here, I want you to stop and think about your own Hamans. Perhaps your Haman is an injustice in your workplace. Perhaps it's a policy that oppresses a minority. Perhaps it's silence in the face of prejudice. Haman's story reminds us that hatred and injustice, when given power, can become a terrifying and widespread threat. And it is in this scenario that our protagonist, Mordecai, discovers the plan. He tears his clothes, puts on sackcloth, and cries out to God in despair, sending a message to Esther, the queen. His cousin, his family, his people were on the brink of extermination, and she, the queen, was the only one with a chance to do something. And here we come to the turning point of the story. When Esther receives Mordecai's request, her first reaction was fear. She was the queen, yes, but protocol was strict. Approaching the king uninvited was like death. unless the king extended his golden scepter to her. It was a life-threatening risk. And Mordecai, in his response, gives us one of the most powerful and impactful phrases in the entire Bible, that because you are in the king's house, you alone will escape among all the Jews. For if you remain silent now, relief and deliverance will arise from the Jews from another place, and who knows whether you have come to the kingdom for such a time as this. And I asked you, doesn't this resonate with you? Knowledge and power for a reason? Perhaps you've gotten to where you are today, not by chance, but for a moment like this. Perhaps your voice is the voice that's missing. Perhaps your silence is what allows injustice to continue to thrive. Silence in times of injustice is a choice. And what Mordecai is saying is that God will act one way or another. The question is, will you be part of the solution or a silent witness? Faced with this dilemma, Esther made a decision to elevate herself from a passive queen to a passionate leader. She sent a message to Mordecai. Go, gather all the Jews who are in Susa and fast for me. Do not eat or drink for 3 days and 3 nights. I and my servants will also fast. Afterwards, I will go to the king, even though it is against the law. If I perish, I perish. This is one of the most powerful phrases in the entire Bible. If I perish, I perish. It is a declaration of faith and trust. It is the complete surrender of her life into God's hands, regardless of the outcome. She understood that her purpose was greater than her fear. She understood that her life was no longer hers, but God's. And so she prepared herself. She didn't go to the king arrogantly, but with wisdom. She didn't confront the king in front of everyone. She prepared a banquet for him and Haman. And at the second banquet, she revealed Haman's plan. The moment was dramatic. She revealed her identity and Haman's plan to exterminate her people. And the king, in his fury, tried to have Haman killed with the same force he'd prepared for Mordecai. Justice was served. The Jewish people were saved, and her silence became her voice, and that voice saved a nation. Esther's story teaches us profound lessons. The first is that God places us in positions of influence for a purpose. Perhaps your position at work, in your family, or in your community is not by chance. It is so that you can be a voice. The second lesson is that silence is a choice. And in times of injustice, silence can be the most powerful weapon in the hands of the oppressor. The third and most important lesson is that courage is not the absence of fear, but action despite fear. Esther felt fear, but her faith and purpose were greater than her fear. So, I want to extend an invitation to you. Share in the comments below a time when you witnessed injustice and how you used your voice to make a difference. Your story could be the inspiration someone needs to find their voice and fight for justice. And if you want more stories like this that guide you in your faith and give you courage, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. In our next video, we'll explore the lesson of Moses, finding your way in a world of distractions.